Counsels from various saints and elders. Number 2. These are worthy to listen and read for all who seek to share in the miraculous workings of God through the lives of His saints. The poems. A very important person in the Greek intellectual community spoke to me about his youth. He told me, "When I was 20 years old, I was an anarchist. I had long hair, I had earrings, and I had tyrannized intellectual people and especially my teachers. They sent me to a Christian boarding school, and I caused problems, turning everything upside down. One day, at the urging of an uncle of mine, I decided to visit Father Porphyrios. I thought I would meet a naive old man, but I was quickly proven wrong. As soon as the elder saw me, he said to me, 'My child, you want to believe, but your mind won't let you. But where are you going? Christ loves you, awaits you, and will win you one day. My child, come back tomorrow so that I may see you.' I went back the next day to see him. The elder, as soon as he saw me, said to me, 'My child, do you like poems? Why, I'm a poet too. Shall we go to the forest and I recite some to you?' He started telling me poems. As I listened, I broke down in tears and cried. Why? Because these poems that the elder recited were my own poems, the ones that I had written and hidden in a notebook, believing that one day I would publish them. I was shocked. After this miracle of St. Porphyrios, this young man made a change in his life, becoming a professor at a university, but he also became a priest of Christ. The sign of the cross. Abba Paul, who was ordained elder of the hut, Assumption of Saint Anna of the Kafsokalivia Skeet of Mount Athos, was also a hieromonk, priest-monk, and came from a village in Epirus, Greece. When he was still young in age, he wanted to visit his homeland, to see his relatives and fellow citizens, from whom he had been separated for several years. His fellow villagers, when they saw him as a young and active priest with many spiritual knowledge and virtues, begged him to stay in their village, because with his good example as well as his spiritual life, he would help his fellow citizens to be saved. Also, with his help many other Christians would benefit as well. Abba Paul, nurtured and admonished in the spirit of strict asceticism and accustomed to the quiet life of the desert of Kafsokalivia, did not accept to remain in his village and be close to his relatives. The villagers, after exhausting every means of relatives and the advice of the elders of the village, all of whom could not convince him to stay, resorted to go to witches, who showed great willingness to cooperate with the demons so that they could manage to get Abba Paul to remain in his village. The witches prepared the most effective spells, which they poured into the drink that they would offer to the hieromonk. One day before leaving his village, he celebrated the divine liturgy with great reverence and humility, and prayed for his parents and relatives, and in general for all the inhabitants of the village, that God and the embassy of his most holy mother, the Theotokos, and all the saints would protect them. After he had consumed the holy mysteries of the Holy Eucharist, the body and blood of the Lord, he left the church and went to the banquet hall, where the witches offered him the drink they had prepared. Abba Paul, as all the monks of Mount Athos do by tradition, made the sign of the cross, first over himself, and then he also crossed the glass with the spells and drank it all. Then followed the meal, where other spells had also been cast there, but also at the meal Abba Paul first prayed, and then gave thanks after eating, as all Christians should do. After eating the food prepared for him that had the magic spell, he suffered absolutely nothing, and, as he himself confessed, that he did not understand anything or any difference in himself, because the next day he departed, and by the grace of God returned unharmed to Mount Athos. The witches said that they had used all their magical arts and assured the villagers that it was impossible for this elder to stay on Mount Athos any longer, but that he should return to his village soon, because if he did not return, his mind would be turned by the energy that the spells would exert on him. So, they said, he should be brought back here in 1 or 2 months at the most. Despite this, Abba Paul lived for more than 50 years after this event. Not only he didn't feel the slightest desire to go back to his village and stay, but he didn't want to visit it ever again. So, the spells do not work on a Christian when he is faithful to God and fulfills his duties towards the church, his fellow man, and himself. But a Christian, even when he performs all his spiritual duties, he must necessarily, before eating or drinking anything, even if it's just plain water, first make the sign of the cross on what he is about to eat or drink. The cross of our Lord neutralizes every satanic energy with which the devil, or people who serve him like witches, etc., wants to harm us. Saint Seraphim of Viritsa. One day a lady hurried to Elder Seraphim's hermitage to see him and consult him on personal matters. Before she left, the saint said to her, "Listen, my child. You will go and find Commononly Avenue, cross the bridge, and there you will meet an officer. He is in a difficult position. Give him this envelope." Inside the envelope was a considerable sum of money. Indeed, as soon as the woman crossed the bridge, she met the officer. At first she was ashamed to speak to him and give him the money, but in order not to disobey the elder, she approached him and said to him, "Sir, Abba Seraphim told me that I would meet you and give you this envelope." The officer took the envelope, saw the contents, and with tears in his eyes said to the woman, "Ah, a few days ago, my house burned down, and I found myself on the street with my family. Please tell me where this great benefactor is so that I can go find him and thank him. Sir, you better thank God for sending such people, because the elder wishes his gesture to be kept secret." Pack of Wolves. The great modern saint and elder of Mytilene, Father Fotis of Lavriot, the fool for Christ's sake, records a moment in his life. In the decade of poverty in the 1940s, I had to walk at night from one village to another, crossing the frozen plains of Kilkis, Greece. The villagers gave me a flashlight for the road, but in the middle of the road, I was surrounded by a pack of hungry wolves. At first I was scared, but without losing my faith, courage, and composure at all, I immediately began to say the salutations of the Virgin Mary. Then I saw something unprecedented and experienced something miraculous. The wolves would come one by one and touch my clothing with their fur and then leave, walking ahead of me. This happened while I was saying the salutations. My children, now the wolves have attacked our homeland in Greece and church. You should do the same. Meaning, we too should read the salutations to the Holy Mother. Terrible vision of Saint Paisios of Mount Athos. It was Tuesday of the Day of Atonement, Saint Paisios recounts, at around 12 midnight, when I saw a terrible vision, and I quote it, "Perhaps it will benefit some soul." While I had lit 2 candles, as usual even when, before, I fall asleep, for those suffering from mental and physical illnesses, including the sleeping ones, the departed, I saw the following apparition and vision. A field of wheat, but the wheat had not yet been harvested. It was just beginning to turn into reeds. I was outside the field pen and was sticking candles on the wall for the sleeping. On the left was a rugged, steep, and barren place which shook with a loud roar, with thousands of heartbreaking voices, which made even the hardest of hearts break. While I suffered from hearing those heartbreaking voices and could not explain the vision, I heard a voice telling me, "The one with the sown wheat, which has not yet been harvested, is the place where the souls of the dead are located, awaiting the coming judgment, and that place that shakes with the heartbreaking cries and voices is the place where the souls of infants from the slaughter of abortions are located. They cry out heartbreakingly for the heartless mothers and the Herodian doctors who slaughtered them." So, while I recovered from the vision, I could not recover from the great pain I felt, and I could not lay down to rest a little, even though I was exhausted from the fatigue of the previous day. Who is the father? Abba Daniel the Egyptian went down to the city to sell his handiwork. A young man who met him begged him and said, "For God's sake, monk, come to my house and recite, say, a prayer for my wife, who is barren." And the monk, because the young man was pressuring him, went with him to the house and recited a prayer for his wife. And by the will of God, the woman conceived after a short while. After this, some men, not fearing God, began to slander the elder and say, "The young man is indeed barren," and so the woman was conceived by Abba Daniel. These things reached the ears of the elder, and he told the woman's husband, "When your wife gives birth, then notify me immediately." When the woman gave birth, then the young man told him and said to him, "With the help of God and with your prayers, Abba, my wife gave birth." Then the Abba said to him, "Prepare a meal and invite your relatives and friends." So, as they were eating, the elder took the newborn child in his arms and asked him in front of everyone, "Who is your father?" And the 22-day-old infant answered by pointing with his little finger, the young man as being his real father. Everyone then glorified God, who preserves the truth, for the sake of those who seek him with all their heart.